Well, welcome to the steps of Dufur School. Unfortunately, we're not joined by Chief Heath, the chief of the Confederated Tribes of the Warm Springs of this land. So we do want to acknowledge that we are on their land, but he unfortunately, just at the last minute, we just learned he will not be able to be here today to give us that blessing, but I will certainly look forward to that as first chance he gets. So with that, turn this way. This way, babe. We got flags right here. Put your hand over your heart.
We're going to pledge to the flag.
Okay. You ready?
I pledge
allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
He's not sure what's going on. And then we're going to listen to Judge Stauffer. Go ahead, Judge. And we can turn this way. The camera's right there. Turn it this way. There you go. Turn it this way.
Are you ready?
Yep.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. I'm Judge Stauffer from the 7th Judicial District, and I'm going to swear in Secretary of State Shemia Fagan. Shemia, repeat after me. I, Shemia Fagan,
I, Shemia Fagan,
do solemnly swear
that
I will support the Constitution of the United States
I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Oregon,
and the Constitution of the State of Oregon,
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
of
of the Secretary of State
Secretary of State
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations, Madam Secretary.
Thank you. Woo. That's Grandpa Fagan's Bible. All right, let's stick our mask on, guys. We're going to go in here and sign the oath. And I'll get your masks.
I'm going to sign the oath.
I'll sign it, but I'll get you one at home. You can sign if you want to pretend.
Hello there, Governor Kate Brown here. I am so excited to be one of the first people to congratulate Shemia Fagan as our new Secretary of State. When I first met Shemia, she was running for office and very pregnant. She was in a hotly contested campaign, knocking on doors in the middle of a very hot summer. I was immediately drawn to her audacity and tenacity in the face of sexism she experienced on the campaign trail while preparing to be a first-time mom. These qualities, tenacity and audacity, will serve her well in her new role. As we begin 2021 with vital work ahead of us for racial justice, defeating a once-in-a-century global pandemic, rebuilding our small business economy, and getting our students back on track, I am so thrilled to have Shemia by my side. As our Secretary of State, Shemia is deeply committed to restoring Oregonians' faith in each other and in our democracy. Shemia is also ready to serve as our Lieutenant Governor and do whatever is needed to help lead Oregon through the challenges ahead. There's certainly plenty to do, and Oregon deserves leaders who take an all-hands-on-deck approach to the work before us. Whether you've known Shemia for a long time or you only recently met her, you know that Shemia leads with a vulnerability and authenticity that we don't often see in our leaders. Her fight for struggling families is and will always be centered in the fact that she was raised in one. Shemia has been very open about her mother's struggles with addiction and homelessness, and how Shemia's dad raised her and her two brothers as a single parent in Wasco County. It's only fitting that Shemia chose to take her oath of office on the steps of her school in Dufur. Normally, the Secretary of State's oath of office is taken at the Capitol with a lot of formality and ceremony. But no one should be surprised that Shemia waived all of that to just stand on the steps of her school and demonstrate her gratitude for the educators who never stopped believing in her and for the community that was a safety net for her family. I'm going to hand you off to Shemia's brother, Jim Fagan, who will share about the camping trip that brought them to Dufur in 1989. After the family was evicted and had nowhere else to go, Shemia, I wish I could be with you in Dufur. Please enjoy today, and tomorrow we're going to get back to work. Thank you.
These are the times that make you who you are. Once you get through this, you can get through anything.
My dad, who was a single parent, raising my two brothers and me by himself in the Dalles, took us on a really long camping trip. It was a week and a half, 2 weeks long, and I thought it was a great trip.
Years later, I told my sister what really happened. We got evicted from our house in the Dalles, and we had nowhere else to go. We were homeless.
My dad, not wanting us to know that we were homeless, had, taken us on a fun 2-week camping trip while he tried to figure out a place for us to live.
She has determination. You can see it in her eyes, and when she tells you she's going to do something, you know it's going to get done. And you believe in yourself and believe in who you are. I mean, that's what molds us. Shemia knows I've always thought she was a rock star.
Thank you, Governor Brown, for the warm welcome. And thank you, Jim, for always being in my corner. And thank all of you for joining my family as I accept the honor of becoming Oregon's 28th Secretary of State. Welcome to my 4th grade classroom in Dufur. I was 8 years old when homelessness, disguised by a loving father as a camping trip, brought my family here to Dufur in Wasco County, a small farming town of about 600 people. After spending the summer camping and staying with a family from our church, my dad rented a small house here in town. And by the time I landed in this classroom in 4th grade, I was a 10-year-old kid who was losing hope. In 4th grade, I first discovered my mom's battle with drug addiction, and my dad was really struggling to raise 3 kids by himself. This was Mr. Wagner's classroom, and I caused a lot of trouble in here. But Mr. Wagner's response? He invited me to join an after-school chess club. We would play every day right over there. And that spring, I traveled from this room to Portland and became an Oregon State chess champion. I'll never forget the way that I felt walking out of that tournament in Portland. My older brothers, who were normally picking on me, were hoisting my trophy over their heads and chanting, "My sister's the champion." For the first time, I knew that it didn't matter that I didn't have everything that other kids had, that I was going to be okay. A moment like that, hope like that, a teacher like that, a teacher like Mr. Wagner can change a life. And he did. So that's why instead of standing in our beautiful and historic state capitol, I chose to stand here in this historic place to become your Secretary of State. Over the past year, during my campaign for this office, I learned that most people have no idea what a Secretary of State does. And that's okay. We're going to work on that. Secretaries of State across the country have been called the guardians of democracy. And perhaps the most well-known slogan of our democracy comes from Lincoln's Gettysburg Address: government of the people, by the people, and for the people. We've all heard it literally thousands of times, ever since we sat in classrooms just like this. But as your new Secretary of State, as Oregon's guardian of democracy, I wonder what these words can mean today, in 2021, for us. All 3 of President Lincoln's ideals of, by, and for the people are meaningful, and there is much to say about each. But for brevity, I just want to focus on a government of the people, that our government is run by everyday people. We've all probably heard the saying that everyone puts their pants on one leg at a time. But after a year when we didn't necessarily put pants on every day, perhaps we have an opportunity to look a little deeper than slogans. A government of the people gives us the opportunity to recognize the basic humanity of the people in it, our capacity to make and learn from mistakes, and to be capable of empathy and growth. But this isn't just about the leaders frequently mentioned in the news, but also the government of the people who are doing their work without much recognition. Local school board members agonizing over decisions about reopening schools while a deadly virus spreads. of the city councilors struggling to redefine public safety because of the impact of over-policing on Black and brown communities, of the county commissioners from Clatsop to Malheur, Wallowa to Curry, fighting to keep their neighbors in warm beds this winter, and a government of public health officials trying to persuade a polarized public to come together and defeat a once-in-a-century global pandemic. And of course, a government of those county clerks blocking out the noise and just reporting the votes as they're cast. And our of the people government doesn't stop with elected officials. It's also a government of the firefighters saving homes and lives, a government of the call center worker answering the small business hotline, of the officer responding to a domestic violence call, of the public health nurse and in-home care workers nurturing the sick and dying, and a government of the sanitation workers making hospital rooms clean and safe for one of us who might need them. A government of these people, a government of everyday people, chosen by everyday people, for the good of everyday people, is definitely a democracy worth guarding. Oregon, thank you for trusting me as your Secretary of State, as your guardian of democracy. I am eager to get to work. Thank you.